In this video, we're going to take a look at how to deploy a virtual service that was created in CASV Community Edition out to a VSE that is a part of an enterprise installation of CA Service Virtualization. So in order to utilize this feature, there are a few important points to talk about really quickly. The first one is, this feature is accessed through an icon up here in the top of the UI for Community Edition, and if you're not seeing this icon, it's time to go out and upgrade your version of Community Edition. This didn't come out with some of the earlier releases, but is available now. So if you're not seeing this button here, go ahead and go out and upgrade, and then you'll be good to go. The next important thing is if you click on this icon, you can see that there is a field for a registry and a username and a password. So you're going to need to know the domain that your registry is on for your Enterprise Edition installation of Service Virtualization. And you're also going to need to know your username and password and make sure you have the rights in order to deploy out to a VSE. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our virtual service is running locally. That way we know there's no issues with our virtual service before we push it out and let our teams access it for their needs. So we can see here we've got a virtual service forward cars inventory 3 cars. This is the virtual service we're going to use in this demonstration application. This virtual service works with the Forward Cars application, which is a mock online car shopping application we use for demonstrations. And what it does is it populates the search page here with these cars and the details of the cars. So right now we can see that this application is coming from the app server and everything looks like it's running properly. So we'll go ahead and we'll jump back over to Community Edition and we'll go ahead and hit Run Virtual Service. So if we take a look at the URL here, we can see that localhost is the domain because there is a VSE which is embedded inside Community Edition and it's running the virtual service locally. However, our application is out on a server called App Server, so it's not local. So what we need to know is the name of this machine here, which is DT Client. So we're going to jump back over to Forward Cars and configure this to communicate with the virtual service running on DT Client. And we can see here that the port is set to 7000. If we look over at Community Edition, the port is 8001. So we'll go ahead and change the port as well. And we'll set the ESB and we'll lock it here. Return to the home page and come back to search. And we can see that we've got cars loading again. We'll view the details. Click OK. And we'll come back to Community Edition and we can see that we've had 7 transactions go through. So we know that the virtual service was working. And we'll go ahead and push it out to the VSE out on our enterprise installation. Okay, so I'll go ahead and stop it. And then now I'll click on the button up here. So if this is the first time you have connected to the registry, you're going to see that there is a format provided here for connecting to the registry or for putting in the URL to the registry. So you've got HTTP. And then you have the domain. So for the registry in this example, the registry resides on DT server. So I'll enter DT server there. And then the default port you're seeing here, 1505, generally works. If it doesn't work when you attempt to do this, reach out to your administrator and work with them to find out why it's not. So we'll go ahead and enter http://DT server :1505. I'll enter the username, admin, enter the password, and then click connect. And the button has a green check mark, and we can see it's connected to DT server 1505. And also we've had some options here showing up which say, do you want to connect to localhost or select a VSE to connect to? So there's only one VSE running in this demonstration environment, so I'll go ahead and select that one. But if you had multiple VSEs, you could choose which VSE to deploy out to. And then now when you click Run Virtual Service, it actually deploys it out to the VSE instead of it running locally in the embedded VSE with Community Edition. So it's telling us it deployed OK. We'll click OK. And then let's jump over to Dev Test Portal and open Monitor, Virtual Service Environments, VSE. And we can see here that the Forward Cars Inventory 3 Cars virtual service is running on port 8001. And the portal and the registry are on the same server, so we have DT server here where it's running. We'll go back to Forward Cars and configure our ESB, change DT client to DT server, and the port can stay the same, 8001. Set the ESB, lock it again, click on home, go back to search. We can see the cars are populating and we've got the details showing up. And now if we jump back over to portal, let's go ahead and refresh this real quick. And we can see we had 7 transactions come through. So the cars application is connecting out to this virtual service and it's responding correctly. So it's really that simple to deploy your virtual services from Community Edition out to an enterprise installation of service virtualization. And then now that we know that we're done with this virtual service, we can go ahead and disconnect. And one thing that's really great about this feature is that you can use the streamline optimize features of SV Community Edition to build your virtual services if you'd like, edit them, use the ability to run the virtual services locally in Community Edition as a sandbox and a tool to test your virtual services and tweak them. And then when you're done, if you have an enterprise installation and access to the VSEs, you can then take your virtual services you create in Community Edition and push them out to a virtual service environment running on a CA Service Virtualization Enterprise Edition installation.